I do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Alaska.
and the Constitution of the State of Alaska.
And I will
It's been 1 year now since Governor Bill Walker took the oath of office to become the state of Alaska's 11th governor. And a lot has happened since then. So just how do Alaskans feel about the job he's done so far?
To answer at this point because he hasn't gotten to the goal line yet.
So far, so good. I like the way he's taking the bull by the horns.
Bill Walker has survived his first year. Coming up on Frontiers, a look back at some of the problems he tackled and some of the challenges ahead.
Sponsorship for Frontiers with Rhonda McBride is provided by Kupik Corporation and Spenard Builders Supply. Alaska, where there are old triumphs, but also new frontiers, with challenges as great as the state itself, but a belief the best is yet to come, bringing you the faces, the places, and the spirit of the last frontier. This is Frontiers with Rhonda McBride.
Welcome to our program. A year ago, as Bill Walker took up the reins of government, he ventured into a new frontier. And it's been a wild ride for Alaska's new governor, but so far, he's managed to hold his own.
I think that he really has to keep in mind who Alaskans really are.
Most of the folks we talked with here at Kriner's Diner give the governor the benefit of the doubt.
Angela, thank you.
There's a lot of unknowns for all of us. We don't know what's going on behind the door.
Along with big burgers, the governor's bipartisan administration is also popular with the Kriner's crowd.
They work as a team instead of the lieutenant governor always at the sideline.
A Republican turned independent, teaming up with a Democrat. Just how this coalition would work was an unknown, but the bond between the two men has only grown stronger during this first year. With the governor taking every opportunity to praise Mallott, some have dubbed it a bromance.
I'm the luckiest governor in the history of Alaska. I go to work every day with Byron Mallott. That is an awesome, awesome blessing that I have.
It's something that we've never seen before in the state, and it's something that's very rare in American politics, quite frankly, is a Republican and Democrat working together. I think that's good government.
For a legislature long dominated by a Republican majority, accustomed to communicating with like-minded Republican governors, the Walker administration has been a big adjustment.
I don't know this man very well. I don't know whether he's trustworthy. That'll all develop over the next few months and years.
One of the main battlegrounds, how to get Alaska's North Slope gas to market. At odds, a governor and a Republican majority with two competing philosophies. Walker, a throwback to Wally Hickle's style of playing hardball with the industry. The previous governor, Sean Parnell, had a deal-maker approach, which led to the passage of Senate Bill 138, the framework for a partnership with the industry to build the largest mega project in North America. Although Walker promised to stay on course with SB 138, that didn't stop him from trying to put his own stamp on the gas project. He surprised the majority by floating a plan to expand the backup pipeline. House Republicans responded with a bill to rein him in.
I'm shocked that it got this many sponsors. I really question who these people work for.
The governor was totally out of line in making that statement.
Republican lawmakers began to doubt whether Walker truly intended to follow through with SB 138.
As the governor asks for project certainty, I ask for that too from him. And that means let's be partners here.
But to the Republican majority, the man who lives here has seemed more like a maverick than a team player. Like outsiders looking in, They watched with concern as he took steps to gain control of the Alaska Gas Line Development Corporation, the state agency tasked with overseeing the pipeline project.
The turmoil in the project since, for many months now, has been concerning to many people, me included.
The governor eventually replaced almost all of the board, including its chairman, John Burns.
It's appropriate for me to be involved, as I am, in this very critical project. So I stand by my word of being in charge.
And not soon after, Walker accepted the resignation of the head of AGDC, Dan Fauske.
We're surprised frequently.
Senator Anna McKinnon says the governor's wholesale changes to AGDC has undermined the stability of the project.
It is not supposed to be a political pipeline.
All right, here we go.
Thank you. The staff here at Kriner's Diner say that they don't pay much attention to the infighting between the governor and the legislature, nor do they really care. But there were some customers who would not go on camera who say they wonder if the governor knows what he's doing on the gas project. But others believe Walker is fighting the good fight.
He's only been in there a year now, so he's got 3 more years to go, so hopefully we can get that pipeline going.
I think that we need to look at oil and gas companies and make sure that they pay their fair share of tax.
The state's $3 billion budget gap and how to bridge it has overshadowed almost everything the governor has done since taking office. At Kriner's, almost every customer we talked with shared their worries about the budget. In Walker's first year, the revenue pie was about half of what it was the year before, thanks to a drastic drop in oil prices.
At this particular moment in Alaska's history, I can't think of another governor in a tougher situation.
The governor has floated a budget plan which relies largely on permanent fund earnings to close that budget gap. And legislators from both parties are skeptical for different reasons.
He's taken Republican positions on some issues and Democratic positions on other issues. And so in some ways, he's probably managed to tick off just about everybody.
Extra pickles. But here at Kriner's Diner, most customers expressed confidence in the governor's approach to the budget.
I think we started at a B+. I think we moved into an A- with some concerns still out there.
Yes, the governor has a lot on his plate, and most of it is not as appetizing as the food here. And the heat in the kitchen will only get hotter. Now, the governor has racked up 2 accomplishments on natural gas. During last month's special session, the legislature approved his plan to buy out TransCanada, one of the partners in the Alaska Liquefied Natural Gas Project. And this week, another milestone. The state agency tasked with developing AK LNG and 3 North Slope producers agreed to fund another year of work on the project. And we'll hear more about that from 2 longtime observers of Alaska politics. Up next, Tim Bradner with the Alaska Journal of Commerce and Larry Persily, a former journalist who also served in 3 administrations. They'll be weighing in as part of our report card on the governor's first year. So what kind of a grade would you give the governor overall?
B. I'd definitely give him a high passing grade, somewhere probably in that high B, maybe a low A.
On the gas project, I don't know. I would probably go a B+, even an A-. I mean, he's moving that sucker along.
The Alaska Native Tribal Health Consortium provides comprehensive health services for Alaska Native and American Indian people across our state. In addition to world-class care at the Alaska Native Medical Center, our work delivers health services for rural Alaska. From cutting-edge technology for the best care possible, to modern construction of clean water systems and health clinics, to health training and outreach that honors our culture, our vision is that Alaska Native people are the healthiest people in the world.
We have a story of 27 families that put 18 months of their lives into building a village, a home for themselves and their future. Our Inupiaq culture goes back thousands of years, carried by a strong sense of community. Our relationship with our natural surroundings is at the heart of our culture. By investing in future generations through development that is balanced with the love of our land, the Kupi Corporation brings together traditions of the past with visions of the future.
Hi, my name is Rabbi Mendy Greenberg and my wife Chaya. As directors of the Matsu Jewish Center, we'd like to invite you to the Valley's first public Hanukkah celebration and menorah lighting.
Watch as the Valley's massive 9-foot menorah is lit.
featuring falafel and Israeli buffet and all kinds of Hanukkah fun for the entire family.
Wednesday, December 9th, 5:30 p.m. at the Palmer Train Depot, free of charge. For more information, visit matsujewishcenter.org. Happy Hanukkah!
Every day something's different, and I get really excited to report on stories in Alaska. I cover these stories. I need to be out there. I need to be experiencing all this stuff. I need to know. And Alaska is so big that you really have to get out there, because I think it's really important to meet people and cover their communities. There's just so many stories here that I could do a story for every day for the rest of my life and still have something new to tell in Alaska.
Let's take a quick look at some of the other milestones in Governor Bill Walker's first year. He bypassed the legislature and used executive authority to expand Medicaid. He also reached out to tribal governments, and he hitched a ride with President Obama on Air Force One. Now, some other events that he had no control over: Shell's decision to suspend offshore drilling in the Arctic. And the state was also hit with several disasters: wildfires, which destroyed homes in Willow and on the Kenai Peninsula, a mudslide in Sitka, and a school fire in Bethel. Well, joining us now for some analysis, Tim Bradner, the natural resources reporter for the Alaska Journal of Commerce. And we have Larry Persily, who has worked for 3 governors. He's also served as the federal pipeline coordinator, and currently you're an advisor to the Kenai Peninsula Borough. So I guess one of the things that people wonder about is Walker's populist streak. What does that remind you of? Does it remind you of any other governors that we've seen?
Well, people called Governor Palin a populist, but Walker's head and shoulders above Palin in accuracy, attention to the job, sticking at the job. I guess she's the only, you wouldn't call Frank Murkowski a populist governor, that's for sure.
Tim, what do you think?
I think we probably haven't seen any other governor quite like him. I mean, you think of populist governor, you think back to Governor Egan. I mean, he was a real populist. He was not afraid to take on big industry, and he was a real kind of people type of person too. So I think some of that Governor Walker reminds people of. He is a people person.
He's very comfortable with people. People are comfortable with him. So that way, Tim's right. It's similar to Governor Egan.
Well, there have been some polls earlier this year that show him as popular. And when I was out on the street just talking to people, we talked to maybe 30 or so people and just got a few negative responses. By and large, people gave him good grades, passing ones.
Yeah, and I think, he's just got a nice down-home style about it, too. A little informal, not polished, not slick. And I think that helps. And also the diversity, the connection with Byron Mallott, the Democrat, people like that.
Well, he's got kind of 2 different personas, and one is kind of the masterful maverick, that his fans seem to appreciate, and then his critics tend to see him as sort of as a bungling buccaneer. So which is he?
A little bit of both. I don't think he's bungling, but as Tim said, he's not polished. I don't think Governor Walker sits and rehearses speeches hour after hour after hour in front of a teleprompter. He wings it a little bit, but I think the public sees him accurately so as a sincere individual, that he tells you what he's thinking. Probably his advisors and staff would say, don't always tell people what you're thinking. Don't always surprise us like that. But I think the public does see him as a very unbureaucratic governor.
So one of the things that we've seen is, a lot of activity on the oil and gas front this past year. And, we hear from his critics that he's just unpredictable, that he's caused instability and a lot more drama than necessary.
And Rhonda, I would agree with that. I think that one of the things that the governor has probably not done as well as he should have is communicated with the legislature, giving them advance warning of some of these things, like the intention to replace people on the State Gas Corporation board. That could have been handled really a lot better. He could have said a few weeks before, just had a briefing, thanked them for their service, said, I need to make some changes, give people a lot of advance warning. don't surprise people at the last minute, like is what's happened. And I think that's what causes the negative reaction, is people wonder what's really going on here. They're caught off guard.
Right, and he certainly starts at a handicap with the legislature because he's not a Republican governor. So
and he hasn't been a legislator. And
right, but as
he
Tim
doesn't know the process, really.
In terms of the gas line between getting rid of the state's lead negotiator, which caught a lot of people by surprise because they weren't even sure he was the lead negotiator until shortly before that. The other contractor, a guy named Audie Setters, who was the state's lead marketing consultant, a couple more board members from the State Gas Corporation, the president of the State Gas Corporation, all within a short time period. I think that did make the industry, made legislators feel a little uncomfortable, kind of what's going on, when's the next proverbial shoe going to drop?
He talks a lot about leverage, and so people wonder, are these sort of unpredictable moves a way to get leverage, or is he flying by the seat of his pants?
Probably a little of both.
I think he is a lawyer who has spent his career negotiating, litigating with the industries, and I think he believes that that the Parnell administration was too cooperative, too easygoing, and that he's got to be harder with the industry, a little unpredictable, can give you some leverage if the other side doesn't exactly know what you're going to do, and you ask for a lot and get something back that you wouldn't have gotten if you hadn't postured like that. So I think a lot of it is, this is what he's done, and he believes it's been effective. But it does create legislative problems, no doubt about it.
Yeah, it does create tension. People are one thing it does, Ron, is it makes people think that there's some hidden agenda. And I think that's destructive. If they suspect that there may be some plan that the governor is being hatched in the governor's office that we don't know about.
And he suspects that the industry is hatching a plan.
But, so who knows really, who really knows? But I will say that the governor has gotten, he has achieved a couple things that the industry gave him. He wanted to have a larger pipe diameter studied, and that cost money. It actually also added delay too. He got that, so that's an achievement. There will be a serious study of a 48-inch pipe and whether that's a good idea. But then secondly, he got these withdrawal agreements, which he's very proud of. He's very happy Friday afternoon.
But how substantive is that?
Well, we haven't seen the agreements, so we really don't know.
But as Tim pointed out, the governor's happy with them, and the state, because the governor's happy, voted along with Exxon, BP, and Conoco to spend $230 million next year to advance the project. Then I guess everybody's happy.
Basically, in a nutshell, this is that the producers agree to commit their gas if they pull out of the project.
Not quite.
We don't know. We don't know what it means, Ron. We haven't seen the agreements, and the governor is quite clear to say that these are not gas sales agreements. This is really a commitment to make a good faith attempt to negotiate if a company withdraws to commit their gas not to the project, because the project doesn't buy gas, but to a buyer, of some unknown buyer.
One of the milestones, if you look back on this year that was historic, is having President Obama visit. And of course, he rode on Air Force One and had a sit down with the president. I don't think you hear of that happening very much. What kind of impact do you think this will have in the long run?
Well, I guess the more the president recognizes Alaska as a state with its own unique problems and has a personal relationship, that's good. I got to say, Rhonda, I worked for the president for 5 years. I never met him. I couldn't even get the White House to return my emails, so I give Walker credit for that. He's advanced a much better relationship than I did, and that probably says something about me, too. But it's good if the White House knows, hey, Alaska's a state, we need to pay attention to it.
So that's a good thing.
Sure.
Well, let's talk about the budget, because one thing about Walker is he doesn't seem afraid to jump into anything that's difficult. You got to give him credit for that.
I think he's going to get a lot of mileage, is due a lot of credit for having talked about the budget situation, the need to raise new revenues, do something different. You got to give him that. He's willing to talk about it and take it public.
And talk about it honestly, that you cannot get from here to a balanced budget without talking about permanent fund earnings, taxes, certainly continued spending cuts, maybe not on the level some legislators want to, but he's been pretty honest with people. And I guess we knew eventually somebody would be governor when we ran out of money. Well, the wheel stopped on Governor Walker, and he's dealing with it.
But you know, other governors have really suffered when they've tried to push for these alternatives. Will the same thing happen to him, do you think, once we get down to the nitty-gritty of this?
Well, probably to some degree, but he's got a good reservoir of goodwill already built up, and he may have to spend a lot of that capital. But one thing that is probably a little bit concerning, though, is he does have a bad relationship with the legislature, partly over this gas stuff. So he's going to need all of the legislative goodwill he can muster to get this stuff through the legislature.
And Tim's right, separate from the gas line, which is really going to be determined by the market, whether it gets built, to push through use of permanent earnings, talk of taxes, reworking the state fiscal system. He's going to need to repair his relationship with the legislature. You're going to need their votes, and just having public support isn't going to convince enough legislators to go along with this.
Now, one thing I've heard from lawmakers on both sides of the aisle is that he is so accessible, way more than Parnell was before him. And so if he's so accessible, why does he have this communication breakdown?
I think part of it stemmed from the way he handled the gas issues. I mean, making these sudden, apparently jerky moves on replacing the AGC board, things like that, without informing certainly key legislators, I think riled a lot of people. Just kind of stirred all that up. He might be accessible, but is he really accessible? We really don't know.
Or does he really listen?
Right, and how much is he willing to compromise? Because like it or not, getting legislation through is a matter of compromising and making deals. And I think, to his credit, Governor Walker doesn't believe in making political deals. But if you're going to get things through, you're going to have to make some political deals.
So we just have a little bit of time left. How transparent is this governor?
Well, I think every governor talks a lot about transparency, but at the end of the day, particularly after he's been there a year or so, there tends to be a closed group around him, and he may want to be more transparent, but the circle around him, the gatekeepers.
Right, you start off being clear, but after a while, like cataracts with age, it clouds up a little bit.
All right, well, I want to thank both of you for weighing in on Governor Walker's first year. Tim Bradner and Larry Persily, two veterans of following Alaska politics. Well, from Shishmaref to Paris, how an 18-year-old student from Alaska is weighing in on climate change, hoping that his story will make a difference. Plus, more Alaskans sound off about the governor's first year.
What I like so far is that he hasn't rushed in and done any big display of cutting. There's a knowing place where you know what's good, you know what's not good, and he's not there.
He definitely has his plate full, trying to keep everybody happy and keep the state balanced.
I just want cremation.
Cremation specialist in Alaska.
Can I have a service before cremation?
Our staff is committed to serving your needs.
I just want something basic. The simpler, the better.
Specializing in simple cremations. Whatever your reasons are for choosing cremation, call Cremation Society of Alaska, 277-2777, or in the Valley, 373-8627, and on the web at alaskacremation.com.
At Spenard Builder Supply, we know it takes a lot of ingredients to get it just right. That's why we have design centers in every store to personalize the most important rooms in your home. We'll help you select cabinets, faucets, and appliances that fit your style. So all you have to worry about is how much oregano goes in Mom's pasta sauce. Spenard Builder Supply. Building for life.
Now offering financing with no payments or interest for 12 months. Visit our design experts today at your local Spenard Builder Supply.
Here's your check. Oh, you got it. Since I got rid of my car, I really enjoy walking.
Okay. God, no.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates.
Oh, you're home early.
You live with your mom?
That'll set your game back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
There is only one Sinatra.
be a lady tonight.
And this holiday season, the Grammys will honor his 100th birthday with the biggest party ever thrown. Join Carrie Underwood, Adam Levine, Lady Gaga, Sam Smith, Garth Brooks, Zach Brown Band, Nick Jonas, Usher, Celine Dion, Harry Connick Jr., John Legend, plus more.
Thank you so much.
As they celebrate Sinatra. CBS tonight, 9/8 Central, or stream it live.
A group of Alaskans at the Climate Change Conference in Paris are there to add their voice to the cause. One of those in the spotlight, Isa Sinuk from Shishmaref. Although he's only 18, he's already shared his story with reporters from Norway and CNN, hoping that their coverage will show the world how his home village is already suffering from the impacts. Sinuk says since the time he was a little kid, Shishmaref has lost 3,000 feet of land to erosion. Well, he hopes leaders in Paris will see how young people are working to find solutions to problems caused by climate change and involve them in the decision-making process.
I hope to get my voice heard and to tell world leaders that climate change is happening now and it's affecting a lot of places that needs help right now instead of waiting 5 years, 10 years in the future.
Well, the Paris Climate Change Conference continues for the next week and a half, and the hope is that the 190 countries taking part in this gathering will pledge to lower emissions to help slow down global warming. Well, some of the feedback on our program last week to share with you, the program Against the Odds, we told the story of Tiana Lacato, a teenager who lived with her family at the Salvation Army's McKinnell House, an honor student with a track record for achievement living in a shelter for homeless families. Now, Jackie Hodges-Relford sent us this comment. Tiana is truly an extraordinary young lady, and I am so glad that you highlighted her on your program. Thank you for finding this story worthy. It truly inspires hope. Well, we welcome all feedback, and you can contact us by going to the Frontier section of KTVA.com, where you will also find the program about Tiana and her family on that section of our website. Well, next week, Frontiers has a follow-up program. Earlier this year, we told you about an ambitious fish and game project to transplant more than 100 wood bison to their historic range near Shagaluk. It's the first time in more than a century that these animals have roamed in Alaska. Next week, we'll find out how the herd is adapting to their new home, whether a decades-old dream of filling a hole in the ecosystem is finally coming to pass. Well, whether it's wilderness or politics, we are never going to run out of frontiers to talk about on this show. So I want to thank you for joining us for this week's conversation, and we'll see you next week.